Hi, I'm Don Helgeson, and welcome to the Mohawk Mission's PC Warrior Almost Live. Today's guest is coming to us from Innisfail, Alberta. Dave Keown joined the PC tribe last year, and he has a great story to tell. I'm looking forward to what he has to say. Here we go, everyone. Hi, I'm Don Helgeson, and welcome to PC Warrior Almost Live. I'm coming to you live from Nanaimo, British Columbia. Today, I have a real special guest coming to you from another part of Canada in Alberta. We have Dave Keown coming to us from just north of Calgary in Innisfail, Alberta. PC Warrior Almost Live. Why do we call it that? Well, back about a year ago when we first started doing these interviews, we were doing them on Facebook Live throughout the PC Tribe Facebook page. And over time, it became extremely difficult to do those live videos. And we ended up recording them and putting them onto the page for everybody within the tribe to see. But I was having trouble getting the guests to actually connect with me. So we had a decision that we made that we would do these through Zoom, record them, and they'd be almost live. And then we would have them later on. So I'm really happy today. Dave contacted me in late 2022 saying that he'd be willing to share his story, his cancer journey with prostate cancer. And I'm sure he'll get into it shortly here within his storyline that he has about what delayed us to today. But it's a side effect of going through cancer. And so he wasn't going to be able to speak to me properly. So we waited till now. And I don't want to steal any of your thunder, Dave, but perhaps you can tell us a little bit about yourself and what's brought you to the PC tribe, what's brought you to wanting to share your story with us. So tell us a bit about who you are, Dave.
Well, my name is Dave Keown. I'm 58 years old. I live in Innisfail, Alberta, as Don has mentioned. I am married. My second marriage. I've been married for 22 years. I got married at the stroke of midnight on 2000 when all the computers were supposed to go out and lights. And I have four kids. I have my wife. It's a blended family, so I have two of my own. Well, I have one. I lost a son 2 years prior to my diagnosis. He died at the age of 27 in a car accident. I have an older boy. He's 33, and I have a daughter, my wife's daughter, and my wife's son, and they all live within the area. I have three grandkids, my daughter, and I work at I work for a company, American company called John's Manville, make a house insulation, and I've been there for 38 years. Other than that, same old, same old.
So I will help you along here. You obviously found the PC tribe, and so tell us a bit about how that happened.
Well, I'm a one for knowledge, and I need to know everything. So I ask a million questions. So I was look once I was diagnosed, and I needed to know everything. I need to know everything. So I started reading, I start searching, get on the internet, start looking for different things, and came across PC Tribe. So thought, you know what, I'm joining, and then here we are.
Absolutely. So you were diagnosed. Well, actually, I'll take you back. You were on holidays, and you, at the time, found a lump in your neck.
Yeah, actually, I was in. My wife and I like to travel, and after our kids got older, we decided, you know what, we're going to do some traveling. So every year we go somewhere in Mexico or Belize or somewhere like that. And we were in Huatuco, Mexico, and in April. And I got home after I got home a couple of weeks after I got home. I was on the couch. I got up Friday, Saturday morning, whatever it was, and my wife's like, "What's wrong with your neck?" And I go, "Oh, it's kind of really stiff." And I said, "Well, I must have slept wrong." And she gave me a heating pad, and I put it on. And then a couple hours later, she's like, "Doesn't look good. We better go to the hospital." And luckily, I live right across from the hospital. So I walked out the door over to the hospital, and doctor looked at it, and they drew blood and stuff. And then he came back and said, you got blood clot. And one of my first words, of course, is, "No family history. Why do I have a blood clot?" And he's like, "I can't tell you that," but he says there is a theory out there, has been proven, but he said men or people with cancer get unexplained blood clots. And so I had 3 of them. I had one in my jugular and then 2 smaller ones down. So I ended up in the hospital, and of course they transferred me to the nearest city, Red Deer, next day, and I had to get ultrasounds and stuff like that. And anyway, that passed, but of course now I'm on blood thinners for life because they're worried I'm going to have more. So that's the story of that one.
So, but it didn't end there. You ended up going in for more checks, and tell us where that goes.
Yeah, so probably, I don't know, I'm gonna guess like a month or so after that, I started passing blood in my urine. And a little concerning, go see the doctor, and they're like, well, maybe you probably just broke a blood vessel in your bladder, and that's why you got blood there, and because of the blood thinners. And they said, but you know what, we really want to check this just to make sure, so we're going to send you, and they're going to put a camera up into your bladder and check it out. And so, okay, go do that. And the urologist says to me, he says, everything's good, but he says, your prostate looks a little enlarged. And he says, do you mind if we do a DRE? And I'm like, no, I don't care, whatever. He's like, no, all good, feels fine. So he says, when did you have a PSA test done? And I'm like, I can't remember. I said, I've asked for them, but my doctor said it wasn't needed. He said, you don't show any symptoms, you have no family history, so no need for it. So he said, anyways, he said, here, do a PSA test, I'll probably never see you again. So I procrastinated it for a little while on the test, and then I went and got it done, and I bet you it was 2 days later, and he's like, you need to come to my office right away. And so my wife and I go, and we're not sure what's going on, and he's a younger doctor, and he says to me, I've never seen numbers like this before. I haven't done this for very long, but this is unreal. And he says, your PSA come back at 768. He says, I think you got cancer. And I'm like, holy moly, right? My wife, we all broke out in tears, and it's pretty hard thing to hear, which you all know, right? So
Yeah. So diagnosed. So actually, at that point, I'm sure
I wasn't.
They would have sent. We weren't diagnosed. They would have sent you in for a biopsy.
Yeah, went for my biopsy. He's lined out. Biopsy, bone scan, the whole works, right? Went for the biopsy, and wasn't very long after I had it. I was getting ready to go for my bone scan. That was it. And I was in Red Deer, and I get a phone call, and it's the urologist again. He's like, come to my office right now. Okay, go to his office, and he says, biopsy results came back. We did 12 samples, and they're all positive, and they're all really, really high, from the 80 to 100% mark. And he says, so, I hate to tell you this, but you have cancer, and you got it bad. And I'm like, okay. I wasn't laughing, but I was a little freaked out. But
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
And how old were you when all this? So what year was this, and how old were you?
I was 54. So this is in 2019. October 2019.
Okay. And did they at the time tell you what your Gleason scores were for the biopsy?
8. They were 8.
Okay.
Pretty well across the board.
So now you're in a scenario, you're 54 years old. You're told you have prostate cancer. You're in your second marriage. Life is going pretty good. You're going traveling to Mexico. You're traveling around the world. You and I have a very similar story here. Now, what do you think? Now, what are you going to do?
Well, first thing you do, you fall apart. Me and my wife, I'm sure we had our crying sessions. We freaked out. We did everything, and then it was like, okay, enough of that. Yeah. I need to figure this out. I need to find out what I did. So buy some books, start reading, start searching the internet, try and figure out what I have, how bad it is. Everybody says, don't go down those rabbit holes and stuff, but I get it, right? You got to kind of weed through it and don't believe everything you read, right?
So you now are making a decision. You have to make a decision on what your treatment's going to be. So what were they telling you at that point?
so what they did is they, my oncologist, my medical oncologist said, he said, I don't think we can do anything but radiation to start. And he said, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to get together with all the surgeons, cancer oncologists, medical oncologists in Alberta, and we're gonna present your case to them and come up with a plan for my radiation or for my treatment. Sorry.
And so what were they telling you at that point? So there's radiation. Did they give you an option for surgery or any other options at all?
No, after I went for my, I'm sorry, I kind of jumped around here, but I went for my CT scan
Yeah.
and bone scan and that, and then they said, and when they said, your cancer is metastasized, it's all through your lymph nodes from your neck to your pelvis area. So he said, surgery's just not a question. We can't do it, right? It doesn't make any sense to open you up when we can't even get it all. So they said, really, the only thing we can offer you, and they put me on the Stampede trial right away. They asked me if I would do that, and I didn't no idea, right? Research, figure out a few things, read some stuff, figure out, okay, they're going to put me on hormone therapy, so they put me on Zytiga and prednisone and Eligard right away, and I started taking that like right away.
And then radiation was shortly after that?
Yeah, and so, well, it was so that was like November, I guess. By the time we got through all the crap, we're hitting like November, and then they're telling me it's going to be a little while till we get this all lined up. And so then I was like, well, I don't know if can I travel? Because I had a trip planned to take my grandkids and my daughter and her husband to Alberta, and they said, do it, go. Just go and lay on the beach and drink some margaritas and try to forget about all of this. And then when we come back, we'll look after. So that's what I did. I went to the beach.
So you've taken treatments, so radiation afterwards, you end up with on your hormone therapies or your immunotherapies.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Where do we go from there?
Well, one of the things you need to understand is the radiation. So it was not fun because radiation's never really fun. But I ended up having in total 78 rounds, which really kind of messed my body up a bit, right? So I ended up the radiation really screwed with my hips and screwed that up, but they had to radiate my pelvis area, so they did that 39 times, and they radiated my chest area for 39 times.
And I mean, I have I read your profile ahead of time here, but radiation actually caused a major issue for you with your colon.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm going to guess like 6 or 8 months after my radiation, which I did have some troubles with my radiation, like with my passing urine and stuff, going to the bathroom. It was a mess. It was just, and they put me on all these pills and Flomax and other stuff. And anyway, I got through all that. And then about 8 months later, I start passing blood through my stool. And so I have to go for a colonoscopy and all this. And then they tell me that the radiation is weakened the wall of my bowels and that I'm at the risk for perforation. So what I have to do is I have to go and they go to the hospital in Red Deer, and then they use I believe it's like argon gas, and they kind of laser the side of the bowel to try and build up scar tissue and in hopes to strengthen it. So I ended up going every 2 months. I think I did 8 sessions before they finally got it under control. And then, but now they tell me that more than likely I'm going to be back at it again, and down the road it's more than likely it'll end up happening again. So
okay. Now these treatments that you're talking about, do you go to Calgary for all of this?
no, actually, I had the choice, but I had to I wanted to continue working. I didn't want, I wanted to try not to interrupt my life the way it was
Yeah.
as much as possible. And so I decided that I would go to Red Deer, and but when it kind of helped me out when they, when they said, okay, we're going to talk to Tom Baker in Calgary, we're going to talk to Rocky View, we're going to talk to Edmonton, we're going to talk to them all. And I felt, not just one doctor's telling me, okay, this is what it is. I got all kinds of doctors and they're in agreement. Okay, this is what we're doing.
Nothing wrong with that. And for people that aren't familiar with Alberta, it's a province in Canada, with several million people, and there's two major cities, which are Calgary and Edmonton. But Red Deer is placed right in the middle, and it's pretty close to where you live. And Red Deer is a city of, I'm going to say about 100,000 people, probably. And so you had options, which was nice.
Yes, that is nice, right? Yeah, that's for sure. I met a lot of different people when I was in getting my radiation, and they were coming from all over the place, right? And Saskatchewan, even, and that, and that's going to be hard. Like, at least for me, I could go home all the time. I could still work. My work is awesome. My boss is amazing. He lets me go whenever I need to. And so that's awful. They're not awesome. I mean, sorry.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But like these other people that have to travel for treatment and stuff, that's going to be hard on you to, you end up in a hotel and every day you're going for treatment and stuff. It's just
Yeah.
not the way I want to do it.
So after you took the different treatment options that were provided to you, what did your PSA end up doing?
Well, gradually it definitely started to come down. It took a little while, but they got it down, and now I'm at 0.1.
0.1. And how often are you checking your PSAs?
I check my every 3 months. I'm still on 3 months, scan everything, and yeah. So I do the PSA every 3 months.
Okay. And have you had any recent scans to see where things lie right now for you?
My last one was in November. I'm coming up due right away, so anxiety. But yeah, I had one, and everything looked good. Like they're all happy with it. So all's good. It's But that old feeling, right? It's you're waiting for the next shoe to drop.
For sure. Well, that's great news that it's down now. I'm going to take you a little bit back to, being 54 years old. Um, I've told my story on here before, and I was 50, turning 51 when I was diagnosed with prostate cancer, fairly newly married, and I was terrified. And can you tell me a little bit about what it was like as someone who's quite a young man who's being diagnosed not just with prostate cancer, but also being diagnosed as a stage 4 prostate cancer patient?
Well, it shakes you, man. It shakes you to your to your core. Um, everybody wants to hear those words. You have cancer,
Yeah,
but then this, like you say, you have cancer and you have stage 4. You got as bad as you can get it, right? It's like for prostate cancer, like at the time, right? It Yeah, you do a lot. For me, I did a lot of soul searching to try and figure it out and figure out where I'm gonna go and what I want, And it's like, definitely they ask you like what do you want to do? And I'm like, you know what? I want to live. I want to live as long as I can. I got a family. I just want to. I'll do whatever I have to do to make this work.
what kind of support
But
network did you have? Not talking about online through these communities. What kind of support did you have at home?
Well, I have, my family, my wife. My wife is amazing. She has, she helps me in everything. And I'll tell you, I really struggled with that because I'm a kind of do-it-yourself guy and always have. So I like to fix things, I like to build things, and I like to do all that. And a little story. I after I had my radiation, and so it'd be the fall of 2020, and I went to rake leaves, and I couldn't. I could pull that rake maybe 3 or 4 times, and I couldn't do it anymore. I was so fatigued. I was so worn. I lost so much muscle onto my body, and it just I can't I can't do it. All I can do is walk. I can walk lots. But
Yeah,
I'll tell you, I threw that right across the yard. I cried. I kicked the leaves. I swore, and I freaking swore.
yeah,
Like, why, right? And then and then pick myself up, and you know what? I can do this. I'll just keep trying. Just keep trying.
for sure. No, support starts at home, and then one of the things that we found also, like with having the PC tribe here, is it's one thing to have support at home, but it's another thing to have a group of other men that you can talk to and share your story. And have you had that experience at all with the PC tribe?
Just limited. I'm kind of on the shy side, so I just kind of been sitting in the background, not saying a lot, just checking out, listen to people, hear their stories.
Yeah,
But it's all amazing. Like, it's an amazing group, and it's helping me very much to be more open. And I want to talk about this. I want to talk about cancer, and I want to talk about my disease, and I want other people to know, because knowledge is king, right? If you don't know, yeah, you don't know. But if you
yeah,
know, then it's valuable for you, right?
100%. So I'm going to go back a little bit to what we were hinting at the beginning of this chat about why
Oh,
our meeting was delayed. So we talk about side effects from being in cancer treatment, and you know, so I'll let you explain why we delayed this till January.
oh, okay. I gotta try and remember my timeline here, but 2021, I guess, roughly, June, or maybe a little before that. I was at work. I'm in my office, and I'm typing away on my computer, doing whatever, and my tongue's rolling around my mouth, and all of a sudden I can feel one of my molars on the top is moving. And then I'm like, well, it's kind of weird, whatever, right? Now I better go see a dentist. And about a week later, I'm at work, I sneeze, and my back molar comes out onto my desk, and it's intact, like roots and everything. Like, it just came out. And so I had to go see a specialist. And so this is where it kind of got a little weird, because I because of my blood thinners and my medications and stuff. So they told me that my jawbone has I've lost a lot of density in my jawbone, or it's shrunk, and so that my teeth have nothing to hang on to. And so they said, they got to come out. And so I had to go to, like I said, I had to go to a special surgeon, and they removed all my top teeth. And then I had to wait until the fall of 2021 um, to get fitted for my top one, because my jawbone was all, they had to cut my gums open and fix my jawbone or something. And so it was a hassle. And then, so that was all good, right? So I get used to it. I got teeth again, and things are looking good, and I'm looking good. And then um about a year later, bottom starts doing the same thing. Same thing. I'm at work, and next thing you know, I got a molar in my hand again. And I'm like, oh crap, here we do it. So back to the specialist again. And this one got a little scary. They put me under, and they pull all my bottom teeth out. And but because of my blood thinners, they had some troubles, and I ended up back in the surgery. Like, it should only be a couple of hours. I was in the recovery, and then next thing you know, I got blood all over the place. And so then they had to take me back in. They had to restitch, they double stitched my whole bottom jaw. And then now I'm still waiting. So that was November 2nd of 2022 that I had on my bottom teeth out. So I went from November 2nd until, and I'm jumping ahead here, because they put my top teeth in before they pulled my bottom teeth. My top ones were lined up with my original bottom ones, and because they couldn't do a mole on my teeth before, they had to do it after. They had to try and figure out how to make my mouth. So they took all these pictures, right, and tried to reconstruct. And because they did it my top before my bottom, they had to realign. So I went I went from November 2nd till, well, I've had them a week. A week ago, I got teeth again. So I had no teeth for 2.5 months.
And I don't think you have any bottom teeth in right now, and you're doing incredibly well.
Thank
Congratulations.
you.
Just,
Yeah,
yeah. We're just going to pause for 1 second here.
Yep.
So, like I said, it's awesome that you were able to, a week ago you contacted me and said, "Hey, I'm able to talk now, so it'd be great to get this together." So, but it's just something that people don't think about. I mean, when we're talking about people who have cancer treatments, you think about nauseousness, you think about people, just overall not feeling well. But I don't think many people ever talk about the fact that you might lose all your teeth. And you're not the first person that I've heard that talk about this.
yeah. One of the things that is concerning, I think, is the cost.
Okay.
Like I was forced into, I didn't have any choice. If I wanted to eat, I had to get teeth.
Yeah.
So isn't really a lot of money in it. Like I hate, I feel for somebody that maybe can't, luckily I'm in that position and I can afford that. It's not easy,
Yeah.
but it's done, right? So yeah, you're right. There's more to it than fatigue, hot flashes, and all that. There's teeth, there's the bone loss, the muscle loss, all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot to think about.
Did you, with any of your radiation treatments, did you ever deal with any urinary incontinence or ED issues at all?
Oh yeah, like totally. Yeah, I had a lot of troubles with my passing urine, going to the bathroom. It was horrible. I was like on the floor in pain.
Yeah.
And definitely the ED. Yeah, it's there, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. You know what? You figure out what you're doing and you just figure out a way around things and keep moving.
Yeah,
TFG, man.
absolutely. No, this is absolutely a fascinating story. So I want a little bit of a side story to this. Most people that know me from the PC tribe know that I'm a former Mountie. I retired just almost 2 years ago. And kind of a little known fact, where Dave lives is where the Royal Canadian Mounted Police trains all of their police dogs. And so I've actually driven through. I've never stopped at the area where they do that, but I've driven through the area, and it's been that way for many, many years.
Funny story there. I have 4 dachshunds, miniature dachshunds, and the police training outside of town, they like to come to town and bring the dogs and run them around, and they train them for noises and cars going by and that stuff, so they become accustomed. They love coming to my house because my dachshunds go nuts, and then so they run them around, and that way they get, to help them to be calm and not focused on the dog and focused on their task, right? And they're like always apologizing. I'm like, give her, you do what you have to do.
Kind of a side story to that. This is going back. I was stationed in Lloydminster, Alberta, back in around 2000, 2001, and a friend of mine went through the training in Innisfail. And but just prior to going to the training, he was training puppies that were coming over from, at that time, some of them were coming from what was known as Czechoslovakia at the time. And he had a 12-week-old German Shepherd, pure black German Shepherd pup. And I had 3 young daughters at the time. And he said, I need to use your daughters to take them to the park to help get this puppy established in wanting to track and that. So he got the kids to go play on the playground equipment. So kind of a funny side story. I when you and I talked just prior to going to live here, there's such great memories of that area. And my mother is actually from Calgary. So I've spent a lot of time in that area, and it's just a beautiful part of Canada, right next to the Rocky Mountains. And you live in a very beautiful part of the world. Now, your cancer story is quite incredible, and like I said, I wanted to get it out there about. I mean, every story is unique, but when you were talking to me about not being able to talk to me because of your teeth issue, I was like, that's something that people just don't realize. So I wanted to get that part of the story out. But you did a little list to me at the end of your of the paperwork that you prepared for me. Just some things that you wish to do soon. And so you talk about to continue to work until your 40th anniversary. So you're almost at 40 years where you work.
Yeah, almost 40 years. Little backstory there. We moved to Alberta from Manitoba in 1976, and they were just building the plant then. And my dad worked for the railroad, and they bought an acreage with my grandmother, and so he really didn't know what he was going to do, and he went and worked for CP Rail for a while, and then he got a job at the plant, and that's where he worked till retirement. I I worked carpentry when I got out of high school, and then I worked oil patch for a year or so, and then I was laid off and needed a job, and so I applied there, and I was hired as a temp and told I'd only be there for a year, and 38 years later, I'm still there. I had numerous roles over the years, and now I'm a warehouse coordinator, and I oversee 11 people and about, I don't know, 10,000 trucks a year going out the door. And they go all over North America. Actually, I've shipped to Asia and Australia and places like that too. My oldest boy, he also works for John Smanville. He's been there, I think, 10 years. Um, Small town, great company. Like, you don't see things like that. They treat us really well, and pay is great and all the perks. So
Well,
it's a
I'm
good
thinking
deal.
if you stayed somewhere for 38 years and planning to go for 40, then it must be a great place to work. You said you want to travel again soon as you have your teeth finished. Where is the first place you want to go?
Well, it's just a bit of a sad story. I have a good friend in Mexico I met 12 years ago when I first started going, and he just recently lost a boy, as I have, and so I mean, I want to go there. I want to go see him. I just really feel that need to go and just give him a hug. I really want to go give him a hug. So hopefully, he lives in Cancun, so I'm hoping that we can figure something out soon.
Spend quality time with my wife, children, grandkids, family, and friends, making the best memories ever. Hope to be able to take my grandkids on a trip again. What does that look like?
Totally. We were thinking, we keep talking about it. I've been wanting to travel again, of course. We love it. But it just seems like every time we're ready to go, something else pops up. So looking for a stretch that where hopefully nothing happens. I'm thinking I was hoping this spring, like March, April, I have my 3 month in March. I'm not sure they'll make it out this year or this spring, but maybe in the fall we can all go there. So
Awesome. I'm going to jump one of them and then I'll come back to it. But then the last thing you said to me was to help spread the word about prostate cancer and getting tested to live my life to the fullest with adventure, peace, and love.
totally. Um, my journey so far, I've learned a lot of things. Right. One of them is there's not enough information given to you. My doctor, my oncologist, he's a good guy, but he's he's foreigner, and his speech isn't great. Like, his English isn't perfect. So I really, and I have hearing loss, so I really have struggled to know what he was saying. I ended up recording our other meetings so I could play it back and listen later,
Smart.
and get kind of the perks of it. um I'm sorry. I'm um One of the downfalls, I lose my memory. um
No, I'm
can
just
can you
spreading the word about
Spreading.
prostate.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Yeah, and so where I was going with that is, like, the information that I got. I went and I had to go and dig it out for myself, right? They gave you a little bit, they give you some books and give you some stuff, but it's pretty vague, right? I want to know the nitty gritties, right? So so I and then as I'm getting into it, I'm like, you know what? This More people need to know all this stuff, right? Because I know how I felt, and I don't want somebody else to feel like that. I want them to be informed. And I know it's not the easiest thing, like, hospitals and stuff. They're kind of like taught not to, get emotionally involved or say too much, right? Because they don't want, liabilities and all that stuff, right? So for me, I definitely found it a little harsh when they, college. I understand he's doing his job, but the way they come about it sometimes is a little harsh. And then again, like I say, the information, here's a pamphlet for what you have, and here's a pamphlet for a group in Red Deer or whatever, right? And I'm like, That's it. Okay, well, let me see what I can do with that. So I'm gonna make it my goal to try to help as many people as I can and spread the word as best I can that, get tested. Just get tested, and don't put those things in the back burner, because men, we all have that thing, right? It's all good. I'll be there, down the road. Everything will go away, right? It won't.
And you and I are prime examples that men who are 50 or in their early 50s can get prostate cancer. And so I know I've made it my mission, and I'm glad to hear you're doing the same thing. Like I tell anybody who will listen, you should get a PSA test, or make sure that when you're going in for your physical that you actually follow through and get the DRE done, because that was one of the things in my career in the RCMP. I had, over the course of 28 years, I probably had 14 or 15, physicals. I didn't have one DRE test done during that time, and I wish I had. So the fact that you mentioned to me before we started this interview today how nervous you were about doing this, but I got to tell you, you come across extremely confident and extremely knowledgeable, and you have this ability. You already know more than most people do about prostate cancer, and so I really hope that you take this opportunity, in addition to what you're already doing, to within the group to be there to share your story and to be there for others that are younger, that if they're looking for some guidance, to be that person, because listen, you've got the experience.
That's, like I say, that's definitely my goal. I'll tell you, when I was diagnosed, one of the first, besides telling my siblings and I have an older sister lives in Ottawa, and I have a younger sister lives just outside Innisfail, and a brother in Calgary, and of course got together with all of them. And let them know, and let my mom know. My dad is no longer with me, but then I went to work, and I just got everybody in the office and said, "Look, here it is.
Yeah.
I'm stage 4 cancer, and this is the deal, and I'm going to go through some stuff, and it may not be easy, and I'll try to be, as cheery as I can, but I'm going to have my moments." And so then I tell everybody, like,
Yeah.
I know some people don't want other people to know about, what they're going through. I want people to know, because for me, if you look at me, like, if you didn't know me, and besides no bottom teeth, if you would see me on the street, you'd have no idea. You have no idea that I am sick, right? And so I think that's important to people to know that, just because I look okay doesn't mean I'm okay,
That's right.
right? So I want more people to know that could be right. So if you see something, you ask, right? Hey, are you okay? Right? Like, can I do anything for you? Can I help you? What's going on, right? So it's just more talk, right? Like, and I'm just gonna throw this in there. Today is January 25th, and it's called Let's Talk, right? It's the mental part of it is huge, is very huge, and I think that needs to be addressed more. And again, men don't want to talk about it, so I'm going to try and talk for him.
Well, I'm glad you are, because I know I live with the attitude that if I just make the difference in one person's life, or one person as a result of me telling them they should gets checked, I think I've done my job, and it makes me feel much better. So, like I said, you and I are prime examples that prostate cancer exists in people who are in their, late 40s, early 50s. So fantastic. Cool. Yeah, I've saved this one. And there was a bit of a preview when you raised your arm there a second ago. You talk about tattoos. So tell us a bit about that. And also, when we get it with tattoos, do we have any that are cancer related?
I have the whole arm. Um, I started. I'll tell you, this is a little bit of a story. I started. Oh God, 20 years ago. I just, on the whim, my wife and I were in Edmonton, and we were like in the mall, and we went by a tattoo shop in the mall in West Ed, and she was like, "I want a tattoo," and I'm like, "Me too." So we got little tattoos, right? Well, fast forward, I guess, like 20 years, and then we're like, why don't we get a tattoo again? So I found a tattoo artist in Olds, just south of us, really nice guy. And so we started our journey, our tattoo journey. So we call it our tattoo date day. And this it's a little shop owned by one guy. And so he books the day for us, and we go and spend the day with him, and we get a tattoo. And so I started on this arm. I don't know if it will show very well. Quit moving. And most of it's done. This is actually a tattoo of the ship my grandfather was on in World War II.
Okay.
So my tattoos on this arm all have a meaning. It's kind of my story. It's got my dogs. I'm sorry, I'm moving way too fast. I like the sled, and I like Walt Disney, Mickey Mouse. There's one of my dogs there. I had 2 wire-haired pointers. They're gone now. I had a '64 Chevy truck that I rebuilt and souped up. This one's for my dad. My dad, when he was in the railroad, carried a pocket watch, and it's not a chain, it's a shoelace. And that's my mistress in Mexico.
Okay, that's for another day.
Yeah. And then there's my power arm, my cancer power arm. And so what I did is I wanted something, right? And so I'll just stand up here. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah.
This is it represents me, my family, and my friends all fighting this horrible disease. Of course, the ribbon, and then the red tips on the ribbon. I don't know if you can see that. That's for my son who's passed, and that was his favorite color. And right down in here it says "right-o," and that's something my dad would say. So like that was my first, and then my wife and I got this one. Well, the Snoopy and Charlie Brown, and it says "You and me against the world." And I have a eagle. I have a lion and a knight for bravery.
Wow.
And then I have, oh, sorry, where is it? It's hard to show. I have my wolf.
You have a wolf.
Oh yeah. It's hard to twist my arm.
Oh, it's actually coming in really clearly there, Dave. We're good. I can see it really well. So there's a little wolf for the Man Up to Cancer side of this, the wolf pack.
You know it.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah. And who knew? And I got the wolf, and then the next thing I know, I found the group, and there you go.
Well, my father was a railroader as well, and so I've seen those watches, and that's pretty cool. The connections we've had here today are pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But we're running out of time here, but is there anything before we go that you'd like to add that you think you've missed?
Well, I have one thing I wanted to share, and my niece. I have a niece in Elkford, BC. She's 30, I think 35. She was diagnosed a year after I was with breast cancer. She had both her breasts removed, but about I don't know, 3 weeks ago, it came back. And on Monday, she'll be going in for surgery again. So a shout out to Ashley. You rock, girl. You got it. Warrior.
That's a fantastic way to end this. Dave, this has been an absolute pleasure. I'm really glad that we had a chance to connect. We haven't, up until today, we'd only been talking on Facebook Messenger. The fact to actually speak with you one-on-one is great. I'm also very excited because I end up in Calgary usually at least once a year, which is near where you live. I can't wait till you and I actually sit down and have a coffee or a breakfast or something together one of these days. So until next time, everyone, thank you so much, Dave. If you're interested in becoming a guest on this PC Warrior Almost Live, please message me and we'll try to get you on here. Until next time, everyone, take care. Bye-bye. Thanks, everyone, for joining us today on PC Warrior Almost Live. I'd like to thank Dave Keown for joining us today. What an incredible story you had to share. If you'd like to be a guest on this show, please contact me via social media. We look forward to seeing you. Until next time, everyone. Bye-bye.